You have $5 million that can't be explained by anything on paper. So you decide to launder it, move it through enough layers that by the time it comes out the other side, it looks like it was always clean. Here's where that plan actually breaks, one stage at a time. Every laundering scheme starts with placement, getting the cash into the financial system in the first place. You can't just deposit $5 million. Any single deposit over 10,000 triggers automatic reporting, so you split it into smaller amounts, spread across different branches, different days, different accounts. This is called structuring. And here's the part people miss. Structuring itself is a separate federal crime, entirely independent of where the money came from. You can go to prison for how you deposited it before anyone even asks why. Banks don't need to catch every transaction manually. Their systems are built to notice exactly this pattern. Deposits sized just under the reporting threshold, repeated across a short window. The software doesn't know you're laundering money. It just knows the shape of your deposits statistically doesn't happen by accident. By week 2, you've moved past placement into layering, running the money through shell companies, invoices for services that were never performed, transfers between accounts in different names. Each layer is designed to put distance between the cash and its origin. But every shell company still has to be registered somewhere, and registration means a real name attached to a real filing, even when that name belongs to someone you paid to stand in for you. You buy real estate with a portion of it. Real estate feels safe because it's tangible, because it appreciates, because it doesn't look like cash sitting in an account. But property records are public. Title transfers, purchase prices, and financing structures all get filed with a government office as a matter of routine, and an all-cash purchase for a property that doesn't match your reported income is one of the most common red flags in every financial crimes training manual written in the last 20 years. By month 2, your bank has already filed something you'll never see, a suspicious activity report. Banks are legally required to file one whenever a transaction pattern doesn't have an obvious legitimate explanation, and critically, they're prohibited from telling you it happened. You could pass every deposit without a single teller raising an eyebrow, and a report could still be sitting in a federal database with your name on it. Here's the part almost nobody accounts for. Layering money through multiple countries doesn't make it disappear. It just adds more institutions that are required to cooperate with each other. International anti-money laundering agreements mean a shell company in one country and a bank account in another aren't actually separated the way they used to be. The paperwork crosses borders faster than people assume it does. By month 4, the integration stage is where most schemes actually collapse, not the placement stage people worry about most. Integration means finally spending the laundered money as if it were legitimate, buying a business, paying yourself a salary, taking a large loan against an asset you bought with dirty funds. The moment clean-looking money enters your normal spending pattern, it has to match a lifestyle that's now under more scrutiny than it's ever been. And inconsistency is exactly what investigators are trained to look for. The weak point in almost every laundering case isn't the money at all. It's a person, the friend who let you use their name for a shell company, the associate who structured deposits on your behalf and kept records you didn't know existed, the bookkeeper who noticed invoices for services that were never rendered. Financial crimes units don't need to trace every dollar if one person in the chain is willing to explain the whole structure in exchange for a lighter sentence. By month 7, once one thread gets pulled, investigators don't have to prove the original crime that generated the money. Money laundering charges function independently of the underlying offense. The layering that was supposed to protect you becomes its own separate case, stacked directly on top of whatever came before it. The $5 million spread across shell companies, real estate, and structured deposits becomes exhibit after exhibit, a paper trail more detailed and more permanent than the cash ever was on its own. Laundering money doesn't erase a trail. It just replaces one simple trail with 100 smaller ones, all pointing back to the same signature eventually. So you end up with real estate that gets seized, shell companies that get unwound in court, and a friend who's now testifying about a favor he thought was harmless. The version of you that tried to make $5 million disappear didn't get it clean. He just spent months building the exact case that proved it was always dirty. The system was never trying to catch money moving. Money moves constantly, legally, every second of every day. It was only ever waiting for the moment the movement stopped making sense. If this changed how you think about what getting away with it actually looks like underneath the surface, that's exactly what this channel exists to do. The real math hiding beneath the systems you deal with every day, explained the way nobody bothers to explain it. Like and subscribe for the next one.